my name is Lila Dolan, and this is my final project for Intro to Python. I created a digital journal app that allows users to write, save, search, edit, and delete daily journal entries. This project combines a graphical user interface with a local database to store journal entries. My journal app lets the user enter the date, time, mood, and a written entry. All entries are saved to an SQLite database so they stay available even when the app closes. The technologies used are tkinter for the GUI and SQLite 3 for storing the journal entries. I also used Python's datetime module to automatically fill in today's date and current time, as well as functions, classes, and events in the code. The app features, there's an entry list and search bar on the left side. Each entry is autofilled with the date and time. There's a mood dropdown where you can choose your mood, and the entry editor itself, which is on the right side, where you can add a new entry, update, and delete. The code is divided into two parts, the database functions and the GUI class. Here we are in Visual Studio. We can press start to run the program. And here's the journal app. As you can see on the left side, there's the list of entries, and I wrote all of these earlier, as well as the search function. On the right side is the entry editor, so automatically it'll include the date and time. You can choose the mood from the drop-down menu. There's good, neutral, bad, mixed, and unsure because I'm not always entirely clear on my emotions, but I can tell if I'm good or bad. Let's say we're good, and let's start by adding a new entry. I'm going to write down doing demo and click on save entry. New entry saved, okay, and now it's added to the list of entries on the left side. We can also delete an entry, and we can do that by choosing an entry from the list. Let's just do the one we just did, and we can click on delete entry. Are you sure you want to delete this entry? Confirm by selecting yes. Entry deleted. Okay. And as you can see, it's been deleted from the list. We can also update entries, so we could look at the last one. Okay, this one also says doing the demo, but I actually wrote that earlier when I was doing another take, so we can update this one. So since we're already on the entry editor, we can delete, and I don't know, we can just write I'll take save entry, entry updated. And for the last function on the app is the search. And you can search through the date, the time, the mood, or the ID, as well as a keyword that can be found in any of the contents of the entries. So let's just search hungry, because I know I wrote that earlier somewhere. Select go. So an entry pops up, we can select it, and the search function works. There's hungry written in the entry here. And that concludes the demonstration, and now we'll move on to the code. Well, actually, before that, we can look at the database. Here's the database on SQLiteStudio. Here's the one for journal. As you can see, this is our table, and we can refresh here, and these are all the entries that have been saved onto the database from the app. And now we can look at the code. Here's the code for the journal app, and it's separated into two sections. The first one is for the database, and the second one is for the user interface. And for the database functions, it basically just contains the functions that perform all the tasks within the database communicated from the app itself. So quickly we can see we can create the table as soon as we open the program, and we can, from the app, as you do things, it'll insert the entry into the database. It'll return a list of entries to the app from the database, or it could return a single entry. We could update an entry, we could delete an entry, and we could, from the app and to the database, search the database for entries based on the keyword. And as for the second part of the code, we have the GUI application. And here we start with class, which organizes all the functions for the interface neatly into this one section. And we can see that through these we can store the ID of the currently selected entry. The list will mirror what is shown in the list box. And we can build the user interface by creating widgets and we load entries from the database into the list box so we can see it on the app. Here's a function to create widgets, and that's basically all of the things you can see on the window of the app itself. So there's the left side. If you remember, there's a search bar in the entry list. And on the right side is the form and the text area. And above that, if you remember, there's the date field, the time field, and the mood drop down with the options, as well as the content text area. And here we have the buttons for the actions. And here's a function to populate the entry list. And it'll just fill the list box with entries. And it's loaded from the database, of course. And here on this function, when the user selects an entry from the list, it'll load it onto the form on the right side. We can clear the form to create a new entry. This function, we can save an entry after we've already filled it. And these are the validation checks, basically to make sure that the fields aren't left blank. And it'll show an error, of course, if it is. Here's a function to delete a selected entry. Function to search entries on the app itself. You can perform a search using the search box. And this is a function to clear the search box, if you remember the clear button in the app, and reload all the entries. Here's the function for the main program, which just starts the main loop for the window for the journal app. Anyways, this was my presentation for the journal app. Thank you very much, and have a happy holidays.